all to today's session for essays. Now this is your first session of essays because because of the time duration and everything we were not able to take this, but now we are starting the subject essays. And I am Preeti. I welcome you all again in this first unit. The first unit is when, where and how. In this first chapter, I think in the last year you have seen the ancient period. We have learned about the ancient period. But in this 7th standard, we are going to learn about the medieval period, which one is little bit developed period from the ancient period. Now let's start this lesson. The lesson name is when, where and how. It is the question mark. When, where and how. Now continuity and changes. In class 6 we learned about the ancient period. Recently I told you in the last year in standard 6 we all have learned about the ancient period, about its development, about the emerging of development of the towns and various community. That all things we have seen. But now here in this period we are going to study about the medieval period, which will be very different from what we studied last year. That means this medieval period is little bit different from the ancient period, because which changes has not been done in the ancient period, that changes have been successful in the medieval period. That's why this medieval period is little bit different from the ancient period, and this all study we are going to do in standard 7. We shall cover the period from 700 century to 1800 century, a period about 1100 year. Now here the period from 700 century to 1800 century, that means the period of 1100 year we are going to study in this year. We will read about the new people, new cultures, new political system. Now in this medieval period there are many kings and rulers were there. So we will learn about their political system, their trade communication with the other countries, and the new peoples and their culture, how they develop and how they grown up and how they become more powerful by their art, craft and many development we will going to see in this chapter. So during the medieval period, different groups of people came to India, brought with them a different culture. Now from the ancient period, we are not here talking about the ancient period. Now in this year, we are going to see the medieval period, which is little bit different from the ancient period and little bit more developed also. So in this medieval period, the many groups of the people came to India. That means from the abroad, from the foreigners came to India, and they also came with the different culture. That means their own culture they brought in the India, and they abroad the foreigners come to India for the business, for their trades, and they just gone settled in India. So let's see what happened. During the medieval period, different groups of people came to India and brought with them a different culture. Even they also brought a different culture, whatever the culture they followed in their own country. Here also in India also they came to visit for the business, but with them they also brought their new culture also. We have already read that in the ancient period, India had trade relation with Arabia, and the Arab came India as traders. So India has business deal with the other countries also. So for that business deal, the many trade India has trade relation with the other countries, so that Arabia and Arabs came to India as a traders, as a business development, as a business communication. For that, the Arabia and Arabs came to India as a traders from 1000th century onwards. There were Turkish and invasions in India. That time the Turkish and invasions in India. The invaders brought with them a new religion. That means the Arabian Arabs came to India for the business. That means the foreigners, Arabia and Arabs came to India as a trader in India. They visited to India, and with them they brought their own culture, they brought their own religion, Islam. The culture name was Islam, which became an integral part of India's culture heritage by the 12th century CE. That means which religion they brought with them, that was Islam. So with Islam, now the Islam, this culture, this religion become a very integral part in India, because they give us very much heritage, very beautiful architects and their aircraft were they set up in India. That's why Islam become an integral part of India, because in cultural heritage they have given lots of to India. With the passage of time, the integration of different culture made a significant impact on our country. That's why the integration, that means the Islam and India, Indo-Islamic culture made a significant impact on our country, because the Arabia brought their own culture to India, and they brought their own religion to India, Islam, and many cultural heritage they have set up in India. So Indo-Islamic integration is very important impact, significant impact on our country. The medieval period was marked by a long struggle between a number of powers. That means in the medieval period there were so many kings and their rulers and their kingdoms were there. So they had a strong power, the Palas, the Pratiharas and the Rashtrakutas, to control the North India. That means in the medieval period some kings were there, some dynasties there to control the North India. But we are not focusing only the North India. That means many foreigners from the people from the abroad came to India to control the North India. But here we will not just see the North India study, we will also see the South India study also. So we will read about the Imperial Cholas who sent trade missions for far away countries. We also see the Imperial Chola. This is also the world famous dynasty of India. In the chapter to come, we will learn about the rise and fall of two great dynasties, the Turks who established the Delhi Sultanate and Mughals. Here, that means in the chapter when, where and how. In the chapter we will see again the most world famous great dynasties, rise and fall of two great dynasties, Turks and Delhi Sultanate, and the Mughals, who contributed immensely to heritage to this land. That means they were the Mughal Delhi Sultanate also and Mughal Sultanate also on India, who give us the immense heritage to India land. Now we also learn about the new rulers and development and about their battles here in this chapter. About the centralization administrative system introduced by the new rulers and the battles they fought with the kings and the petty chiefs. Now in this chapter how many of the new rulers were there, and we will see here about their new cultures, about their new art and architecture, and we'll also see their battles with whom they fought. That all things we are going to study here. That means in basically here we are going to learn about Delhi Sultanate, about Mughal rulers, that all things. All through this period there was a fusion of new and existing traditions, which is evident even today. That means here also we will see the fusion. That means the tradition is continuing from before to today. That means today also we are following that culture, that tradition. It is called the fusion and existing culture. That means the culture which is already existed in the medieval period, that culture, same culture is continued as before now also in India, which is evident even today. Some of the food we eat, parathas, gulab jamuns, kebab, biryani, shahi tukda and other delicious Mughlai food. Today also at our home we aloo paratha and paneer paratha, we also eat that everything at home. That means this paratha type, this food type is coming from the medieval period, from the Mughal period. Gulab jamun as a dessert we eat this, kebab, biryani, shahi tukda, these are the delicious Mughlai food. This is all the Mughlai food which is coming from the medieval period, and today also we are having that food at everywhere, right? So that's why this period is called the fusion period. That means this medieval period's food is again continuing in this period also. So can be traced back to the Central Asian influences, the salwar kameez, kurta pajama. Now first we talked about the food, which food is very much famous in the Mughal, on the Mughal period. Now their clothes and their culture also we are going to see. The salwar kameez, kurta pajama, zardori embroidery and kaftans that we wear today have been passed down the ages. Today also we wear the kurta pajama, salwar kameez, zardozi embroidery and kaftans, that all clothes today also we use. Many of the people wear such kind of clothes, which is the symbols of the medieval period. In the medieval period, the same clothes the people used to wear, but the same clothes now in India we can see the people are wearing right now also. That's why it is called the fusion of new and existing tradition. That means this is the new also for the new people, newborn people, but this is already the existing in the medieval period also. Such kind of food, it is from the medieval period, from the Mughal period, and such kind of dresses, clothes also from the Mughal period to the today also. So an example of Indo-Islamic integration, that means in India also many Muslim people wear such kind of dresses, and all the peoples in India, all Indians are like to wear such kind of dresses, and everyone likes to eat such kind of food. That means it is the integration of Indo-Islamic, that means it is the togetherness of Indo-Islamic culture. So that culture is already existing in medieval period, and today also this is continuing. As we study these changes, we will also notice how some things continue as before. Yes, we have already discussed about this, some things, food and clothes which are already was existing, it is continuously here also in this age, also in this period also. We will study the growth of trade and commerce during the period and the emergence of town with the specific function such as Hampi and the Masulipattnam. Now here new trade growth of in the medieval period, new commerce and trade and commerce during this period and the emerging of, that means the new business and the new cities and towns. See, you can see here the emerging of towns like Hampi and Masulipattnam. Many of the small towns developed in the medieval period, and about they also emergence about their culture and everything, and the trade and commerce, that means different kind of business and different kinds of small towns also developed in the medieval period. For example, the Hampi and the Masulipattnam is the example of that town which were developed in the medieval period. So like that Hampi and Masulipattnam, many of the towns emerged in that period also, and many business also developed according to the people's like that. We will also trace important social trends including changes in caste systems, the movement of the people in the subcontinent and the development in the tribal communities. Now many tribal community also developed in the medieval period. Then according now many small towns like Hampi and Masulipattnam also developed in the medieval period, and many of the business according to the towns they developed in the medieval period. Now the caste and category also going to be a very important part of that towns. So caste, category, social system, social traits, that all things were going to be a very much and important things in that medieval period, because many small towns they develop, many culture they develop according to the people. Then according to that the caste and category everything was developed in that time. Now we see the religious development. What the religious development was in the medieval period. So religious development of the age and the emergence of new philosophies and the movements such as Bhakti, Sufis and Sikhism will also be an area of our study. Now in this medieval period there was some religious developed such as Bhakti, Sufism and Sikhism. Like that religions also developed in the medieval period. So we will also learn about this religions in the next chapter in detail. Now and many number of languages such as Gujarati, Marathi, Kannada, Bengali, Rajasthani, Oriya, Assamese developed in the different religions and the flourished. Now the many languages also developed according to the religions. The languages also developed like Gujarati, Marathi. So here various language also we can see in the medieval period, because the many religion developed there. So according to the religion, languages also developed like Gujarati, Marathi, Assami. That all language also developed in the medieval period. For the study of this period is extremely vast, and the traveler account, court chronicles and the inscription and calligraphy to lavish the places and temples, tombs and monuments. That means this study is very vast, it is very speedy and it is very developed. So we can also see, we can also read about this medieval period in the travels account, in the court chronicles, inscription with the historian which has searched about the medieval period. So we can also learn these all things in the travels account, court chronicles, inscription and the calligraphy to lavish places, temples, tomb and monument. These all things we can see in the medieval period. Which kind of the lavish palaces they have established there, the temples, mosque and the many monuments, the architect building also you can see in the medieval period. Now the changing of the land. What is the changing of the land? That means now we are living in India, we are living in Bharat. We called it, where we are living this on this land, it is called Bharat or India right now. But in the at the different period, the India is called as a different name. It is also has a different name. So let's see. As we study the history of our land, we will notice that India was known by the different names during the different period of history. That means in the ancient period, India has a different name. Now in the different period, India has a different name. So the early Sanskrit texts during the Vedic period called the tract of land between the Vindhyas and the Himalayas called Aryavarta, or the land of the Aryans. That means in the Vedic period we can see where the Aryans were living around the Indus river. That place, that land was called as a Aryavarta or the Aryans, because the Aryan peoples, the Aryan communities were there around the Indus river, so that place is called, that land was called the Aryavarta or the Aryans. And during the era of the Puranas, it is the subcontinent was called the Bharatvarshanam. That means in the Purans, the Indian subcontinent was called Bharatvarshanam, and this term was used to distinguish is from the other continent also. That means in the Vedic period, the land where we are living right now, the land was called the Aryavartan or Aryans, and now in the Puran period, in the era of the Puran, the same place was called as a Bharatvarshanam. That means in the different period we can see the different name of the same land. So with the coming of the invaders from Central and West Asia, there was a change in the term used to describe the subcontinent. The Persian account of the period refers to it as a Hind or Hindu. That means the major civilization came on the bank of the river. That means many important river in the ancient period and in the medieval period, and many major civilizations used to come to sit at the bank of the river. There were the river like Egypt. In Egypt there were the river Nile river, Indus river in India, and at the bank of these rivers many major civilization used to come and sit there. That's why the people also called as their different names. So many civilization come on the bank of the river. So some in the Vedic period it was called the Aryans or the Aryavartan. In the Puran period, the same places, that land was called the Bharatvarshanam. Now many invaders came to India, many major civilization came to India to sit at the bank of the river. So Hindu, a Persian word given to the people which were used to live at the bank of the Indus river. That means this Hindu word is a Persian word, and this Persian word is given to the people who used to live at the Indus river. That means that was called Hindu, the same land. Now the Hind and Arabic and the Persian word for the Indian subcontinent. In the subcontinent, first we have seen in the Purans Bharatvarshanam. For the land of the subcontinent was called Bharatvarshanam in the Purans, but the same for the same land Hind was also called, and the Hind was an American and Persian word. It was the Arabian and the Persian word, right? Now the Bharat. Now we also seen as the Indian Constitution, the two names have to our country, one Bharat and India. So this Bharat is a word in the Sanskrit literature. This is Sanskrit word taken from the Sanskrit literature. Now in the 13th century CE, Hindustan denoted areas around or beyond the Indus river. That means the Indus around the Indus river area was called Hindustan, right? In the 17th century. That means we can see the changing name of the land. That means in the different period we can see the different name of the same India subcontinent or around the area of the Indus river. So Bharat, the Indian Constitution uses both India and Bharat to describe the country. Now our country has two names, Bharat and India. Someone called it Bharat and some called it India. That means in India Constitution only the two name has given to our country. Now they are the source of history. There are some sources of history. History means our past. History means the action we have done yesterday. We have done the action before 2 days or before 1 day or before some months, before some year ago. That's all incident. If we recall today, that's called history. That's called our past. That means in short, our past is our history. So just to know more information about the history, there are some sources to learn about the history. So we'll see that all the sources in the next period. I hope guys you all got what we are going to learn in this medieval period in standard 7. So let's meet and we'll see the sources of history in our next video. Till then, bye bye, take care and thank you.